What's happening, people, and welcome back to All You Can Eat Warriors, and I mean All You Can Eat Warriors. And we're back here, guys, after a short turnaround and a game upon us in 2 days. But exciting times. We've got a brand new team list to talk about and a whole host of topics. And I'm joined again by my good friend and co-host of the show, and a celebration of 1K stream subscribers on YouTube to my man. Give a round of applause, everyone, to Ash Thomas.
What's going on, my bro? Thank you so much, man. That was lovely little intro there. But thank you so much, guys. Obviously, my biggest thanks goes out to all the community out there that got me past 1K views now. Really, really appreciate it. And thank you to my missus and all that for the lovely little balloons and had little brownies and stuff like that. She did the big lift for me on this one. But hopefully the boys can do a big lift and get over the top of the Titans this weekend, or not too far away, honestly.
Yeah, not too far at all. And but no, congratulations again, brother. Massive achievement.
Thank you, bro.
Hard years of hard graft and grind, and well deserved. Welcome in, everyone. Up the wires 95. We on whānau. David from Telstra. Dave from Telstra. Hello, campers. Yes, random person. What's happening, my man? Jazz Tamate, as always, my brother. Aloha. Tahi, kia ora, and 40, Zion's on. Ooh, yes. Ooh. Jacko here, hi, yes, sir. And, welcome in Alec S., Kiwi Raider, up the wires, Richard. Thanks, my brother. Steph, my friend. Yes. And Kanye West. Yeah.
Ooh, we got celebrities.
Hotsuna, yes, way to go, Ash. Yeah, big up my brother here. Well done. And everyone on Instagram, apologies. Yeah, it's hard to get you guys' comments. It's still a tricky one. But if you are there, I've left the link in the description there. You want to come over to wahsup TV, get your comments over here. We'll do our best, but it's really hard. But we appreciate everyone. Penellis 10, nice one, Ash. Man, big up, my friend. Hey, man, how you? So, a lot of topics to cover here. We might be having a special guest come on. We'll wait to see if he rocks up. If not, but you got us two at least. But yeah, how was the weekend of footy for you, man? How you tracking so far in the week?
Yeah, bro. Weekend of footy was pretty crazy, pretty up and down and all that. Obviously, not a lot of my bets went my way, obviously, on the weekend there. But we had a mean one. Obviously, I have a mate's fan that's actually a Titans fan, so we're probably going to have a back and forth coming up this week or whatever. But we actually put on a multi of Titans 1-12 and Dave Fafita for a double. And at one point, Dave Fafita came on, scored, and we were like, no way, this won't happen. Are you serious? It would have paid out real nice. And obviously, just the Titans, gave it all up at the end. So didn't end up happening. But I feel like everyone was in the same boat here where it's just a lot of things going on in the footy at the moment. A little bit of a mixed bag of what teams are really looking like they're going to step up and really take the comp by storm at the moment. The Sharkies are actually looking really, really nice in my opinion at the moment, and the Broncos had a big performance against the Raiders. But hopefully the boys can get back on track with our boys against the Titans this week. We definitely got a great opportunity, but also we got to be wary because they are very, very desperate for a win. And I just don't want us to be that bounce back team that we were, in the past at moments. So yeah.
Absolutely. Hey, Matthew Henare, thanks Matthew saying in here that the boys looked really tired on the weekend. Maybe time to rest up and rotate. Well, I think if you look at the team list, we got some young gun coming in and Zion and Dylan Walker coming in at a great time. But yeah, really good point there. And Josh, shot brother Ash, yes.
Actually, I got a really cool stat for that. We'll get to it a little bit later on, my bro. And around how many players we've actually been using this season comparatively to the rest of the teams. It's actually a pretty shocking one. So
wow. Okay. Yeah, we've got stats with Ash coming up, guys, as well. Look, I want to wait for our friend to come on, but just quickly, from anything that you can take from the game against the Dragons, it felt like everyone was in crisis mode and panic mode. I think everyone's kind of settled down a bit, but is there anything else that we're missing as a takeaway moving forward?
No. I think, obviously the Dragons are a team that is very early on the season. A lot of people selected for wooden spooners. And they've definitely changed a lot of people's eyes. And I felt like, they used the performance like against us to propel themselves into everyone to be like, well, maybe they're a lot better than what people expect. And they only need a win like this. They did it last year against the Melbourne Storm at Wynn Stadium too. Obviously, they beat the Manly Seagulls earlier on the season. Like, they're good for a scalp at Wynn Stadium. They usually get a good turnout there, but no excuses. Like, we look tired. Webby definitely was off with his bench rotation there, and coming out with news about Shawnee, obviously not being able to train as much as usual. Like, maybe that does buy into the fact of maybe our attack just wasn't free flowing because of these certain reasons and stuff like that. And we'll touch on a couple a little bit later on, because I feel like maybe Mets is a little bit more of a big miss as before. We'll touch on that a little bit later on as well. But Tomato is doing amazing still, but maybe it's, we do miss Mets a little bit as well.
Yeah, good talking points. Good comments in here. Clough saying, I discussed with you, Levon, the state of our injuries and that what are your thoughts on how your strength and conditioning program is conducted? I mean, it sounds as though, from what I hear from Webby, that it's very high intensity, and it sounds as though the best teams probably have a high intensity program,
100%,
to be able to be dominant. And I suppose Webby's has been instilling that over the last 2 years. I'm not sure how that. I mean, it's kind of, we had the injuries in the same part of the season last year, if you remember a bit.
Yeah.
Actually, there is some data to it. I would be interested. What's your thoughts, Ash? Actually.
Yeah, last year after round 10, we were sitting 5-5 and sitting at 11th. Especially, to start the season, we were down with a ton of rotations between a lot of our key pieces as well. So yeah, it's, we started the season pretty fairly well actually last season. I think we started like 4-1 off memory in that, and then we went for a little lull that ended up putting us at 5-5, and we didn't really catch fire till around that origin period, just after the origin period. And we have a very similar run on the way home too, so that's a big thing that's keeping me confident that the boys will grow into the season. The sets will come. Just hopefully we don't drop too many games to where we're going to have to chase our tail late like the Roosters usually do and stuff like that. But I'm pretty confident in the boys that we just need combinations. We need boys on the field to build combinations and just to learn to be with each other at this moment, because there's a little bit of an injury toll at the moment, but our depth's getting tested, and I'm sure we'll make it through. During this period.
I think we will, but I think Clough's bringing up a good point, because, the significant amount of injuries. I mean, you do have to compare it relatively to other NRL teams, but at the same time, does there need to be a review of our strength and conditioning program? Maybe, but
maybe.
We'll have to wait and see on that a little bit, Clough. But appreciate that.
I think a lot of it too. Also, like, you look at other teams that have had coaches that have come out of that Penrith system, like, the Doggies had struggled with a lot of injuries last year, and obviously a lot of media came out about how they were training, and a lot of the players did not agree with the way they were training there. But it's come and paid dividends currently right now in this season, you know what I mean? And last season, very similar with us, we've come in and we showed our fitness pretty early on last season, that something changed in our club, and a lot of it could be like, the Penrith Panthers train harder than any other club in a competition right now, maybe other than Melbourne Melbourne Storm. Melbourne's always up there with their training sessions and stuff, but or the Cowboys, but the Cowboys lag a little bit late. I think a lot of it is just maybe the boys trying to get used to the program. A lot of the injuries just seem very unfortunate as well. So it could mean many different things, obviously, overall. Yeah.
And speaking of injuries, we've got a man currently injured. But he's gonna make it up on. He's gonna be here to represent. Sammy, man, how you doing, my man?
Good, fellas. And speaking of injuries and poor quality, my camera compared to you guys, I'm rocking the budget setup. The lighting's terrible as well, so please forgive me. I'm basically doing it in the basement.
Oh, no, we're happy to have you on, man. Ash is the one with the mean setup. I'm just gonna.
He does. That's the $1 million setup, right?
It is.
It's taken a long time, brother.
No, but welcome in, man. We're just kind of recapping, and I suppose I wanted to touch base with you on your thoughts. I suppose maybe at the Dragons game, just dissect that a little bit, but mainly in the broader scope. I think people are finding themselves, some fans have gone into crisis mode, and I suppose, I mean, how valid are the arguments? And I suppose, comments from Webby sounds as though guys are genuinely tired in that. But what's your thoughts on how things are tracking?
Well, I think in terms of like validity, I think that's sort of sports fans, I think across the board get pretty emotional when their team loses like that. I think Webby even talked about this as well in that press conference. Like that's probably the worst they've played in a year and a half, which is probably more a testament to Webby, or to what he's brought than anything else. That it's taken this long for them to put out a performance that actually makes people question, where the side's at. Like every side goes through that. Like it's funny when you follow other teams' social media pages and stuff, even teams like Melbourne and Brisbane, and a team gets thumped, then all of a sudden they're in crisis mode. So I don't think it's catastrophic or like cataclysmic, but I think there are probably valid concerns. The tiredness is a big one. Obviously the injuries. I guess my only fear is when you look at if it is fatigue, with only Dylan coming back this week, it's like we've still got a lot of guys that aren't going to be back for a while. And so that maybe makes me a little bit worried if this is what we're going to see for the next couple of weeks. But, I'm still confident that it was a one-off. I think the Dragons played probably their game of the last 2 years as well, right? They were phenomenal. So I just think a combination of all of that meant that, we probably didn't show up on the night and don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. But
no, absolutely. The voice of the Wild, Sammy. Yes, he is. He is the voice of rugby league.
On a potato. That's not.
Hold up the Waz here, Sammy.
Yeah, very nice.
Well, it's ironic, that I sort of work in radio and streaming. Here I am with probably the worst setup imaginable.
I was actually going to touch on that, bro. I was going to say it's so far across from what you usually deal with, but you do a great job with SEN radio, bro, and all that sort of stuff. So you keep up your job there. Doing a great job there.
I was just going to ask about tying that in. Obviously, a similar theme is the left side attack. People are asking for Roger to play 6. I've got guys asking for Barry to jump over, and but can you see a breakdown, or has Blake or any of those guys suggested there's a breakdown, or we just need more time in like similar situation where these guys need time to develop and we're building into a season? What's your thoughts on that left side attack and what might be going wrong?
Me and Blake talk about it a lot, actually, like particularly with the commentaries where it's obviously happening in front of you. Like, it's really, really hard, right? Because obviously with Roger, you want the ball in his hands as much as possible, and you want him to be running the ball as much as possible, right? Like his strength is not catch and pass. No. It's never been Roger's strength. So It's even funny, when we talked about moving him to or when he was playing fullback, and it's like a totally different player to Chance. Like Chance is, we saw it in the first game that he came back, where he's that real link man. He's more of a playmaker as opposed to just doing it himself, which is more Roger style. So I think I'd love to know the conversations that Webby's having in terms of, is it just Roger? You just get the ball and do what you do. In which case there is no not shape, but there's no desire, I guess, to then move the ball further wide. So whether that's a part of it or whether it is Roger still trying to get used to the centre role, I've always said this. I think centre is the hardest position in rugby league because so much of the attack goes through you, and all the defence comes through you, and often you're the one that gets criticised for both ends, right? Look at the flat that Rocco cops if he doesn't pass it to Dallin, right. Despite the fact that Dallin was the top try scorer last year, that's Rocco Perry's. He was on that side too. So they cop a lot for whether or not you're scoring on attack or you're conceding on defence. So it is one of the toughest positions. I think maybe there's an element of Roger still trying to learn that, but I also it was Anthony Gelling on our rugby league show that suggested putting Roger onto the wing, and I know that caused people to go cataclysmic as well. Someone even might have mentioned that in the comments here, but the idea of it was interesting. It was like put Roger in a position where that's all he has to do is attack. Which is the wing. That's all you've got to do is attack. I mean, defensively, there's an element of that when a team's close to your line, but by and large, your main focus is when the team has the ball is to just get it in those yardage sets and run, or if you're getting close to a try line, it's create something. So I think there's validity in that. I don't know whether it's the answer, excuse me, but I don't know. I just think there's maybe an option there that could be explored if it keeps looking tardy.
Yeah, I tried to do I did a massive breakdown in stats wise and really what's the look at if we do move Rog to the wing, where does that really benefit us overall? If you actually look at where is it really more so that people want Rog to get back to what he used to be before he left us, and we want him to hands the ball more, but he's still doing a lot of great work from the middle. He's still averaging about 150 meters a run from that center position. A lot of it has also definitely come down to a lot of our missed combinations on that side. Tomate's come in now. We had Metcalf to start the season. We had Chanel in that Knights game where Metcalf went down. And also to round that out as well is maybe do we need to change our overall view of what's our view of a perfect center? If you actually look at multiple other centers in the competition, a Herbie Farnworth has never been known for his passing game, but his work out of his back end and everything he does out of his back end is absolutely incredible. And he's always been noted as a top center in the competition. And you look at Joey Manu's only he's got the flick pass in his game, but when he goes to fullback, he's going to get 400 meters a game, whatever he wants to do. The perfect center, a lot of people don't really realize, when you see Isaac Tungo is very similar as well. I feel like Roger's numbers is so relative to those boys, but a lot of the things what make our team not, I think everyone jump up and down is more so that left side attack is just not coming along as quickly as what we hoped, especially thinking that Roger's going to be in the center there and us wanting to be more balanced than what we usually see of a middle and a right side reliant attack is what a lot of people are saying currently. So what's your thoughts on that, Sammy? Maybe do we need to change maybe our view of what Roger would look like as a center or comparatively to the rest of the competition, like a Herbie Farnworth and that? What's your views on that?
Yeah, no, mate, that's an awesome point. And I was talking about this with someone the other day, particularly around Joey Manu. He's not, the guy doesn't pass the ball. Joey Manu, I'd love to see the numbers on running versus passing, but that's the sort of role he's created. I mean, Katoni Staggs is another one who very rarely will pass the ball. So they're strong ball runners. Yeah, I think maybe a lot of pressure is put on Roger when, to your point about those combinations not working. There was a moment against the Dragons. I think we had that scrum feed 10 meters out. Mm-hmm. And they go right side to give Rocco a one-on-one. And I'm thinking, wouldn't you give Roger the one-on-one? No disrespect to Rocco because I love Rocco, but, that's surely your target. Let's be honest. It was clicking with Luke, and I think 100%. That's because I think with Luke from last year to this year, he took on much more of a role, playmaking role. Last year, it was all let Sean play both sides. And whatever the six needs to do and around him is basically that they're there to catch and pass or whatever. Yeah. But this year, Luke was wanting to show up on different sides and he's wanting to run the ball more. And that, I think, allowed that attack, that left side to be a lot more attacking as well. But once we lost him, to your point, then you throw in Tim Whitey in there. It's another combination. It's more not inconsistency, but it's change, which doesn't benefit a guy who's trying to work out a new position,
Yeah,
so,
exactly.
But I agree. I think it's a great point you make about Roger changing our I guess our idea of what we see as in a good centre. And I was talking about the wing thing before. I mean, that's just an option that I guess has been floated around that interests me. But I still think Roger is, I still think he belongs in the centres for us. And I still think and I think too, when you talk about like net gain, when they were talking about, Roger playing fullback and C&K coming to the centres or whatever, to me, it's always about the net gain. And I always thought we had a better net gain with C&K at the back and Roger in the centres than the other 100%. Way around, or, with somebody else. And I think you got to think about that too. I mean, it's funny too that, when we talk about coaches as well, that are struggling, and NRL coaches seem to, more than any other sport, get sacked, almost the quickest. But it's always funny when there has to be someone there that's better. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
Like, are we sure that putting Roger somewhere else and someone in his place, is that player going to be better in that position than Roger? You know what I mean? Like, I've got massive raps on Ali Latar, and like he's a bit like my love child in a way. I just want to see him play. But but is he going to be better than Roger attackingly and defensively? You have to ask that question before you just go and say, I'll put Roger at the back or put Roger on the wing.
Yeah. I think overall, like if we do put Roger on the wing, it's just going to be so similar. He's going to do all the normal work out of his back end. Obviously, he's going to get his 170 or whatever he usually is, but that it's not going to fix our left side troubles of putting Roger on the wing. More so, like he's going to do exactly what Monty's doing right now. Probably maybe a higher click, obviously, being Rog, but that ball's not going to go to his side any better. He's not going to get earlier ball on that side and set plays. Like it's going to be more so him sitting on the wing and trying to get back through the middle like he's doing right now at centre. It's not going to be too much of a different look, and a lot of people throwing up Bompy to go back into that centre and push him out to the side when a lot of people were against Bompy last season. And then Ali Leotai is like, I think he's only recently switched sides. Predominantly, I feel like he was coming up playing on the left side, especially with his strong like left-hand fend and that. He's had to change his game and go back to the right side from watching him in Cup. Whether he is wanting to be a right side centre now and to fill in if Rog does go down, like there's a lot of things. There's like our best lineup in my opinion would be Rog at centre and just let him learn his craft and give him time. He's only had 3-4 games of centre, 4 overall with people moving around, or Tane's going out. He had to go to fullback and he's been to wing. Like let him have time and just learn what a centre is. And I think a lot of thought has to go to that.
I think the biggest flaw of past Warriors coaches is exactly doing what that would be. Switching guys out onto the wing, and then that falls apart, and then you've lost pretty much. Like I think there's part of me is like they've made this decision preseason or even before that they're going to use him as a left center. If they bomb on this and it falls and they send them to the wing, I feel you've lost a player there, or you could lose a player, and then they come into the cycle of jumping back and forth, and then because if you look at what Knights, they just finally agreed they don't want Cogger now. So they're going back to is it Hastings?
Well, they don't have a choice anymore by the looks of it. Like, depending on how they go out this season, no Ponga, so Will Price will probably have to come in. If not, they'll play Gamble at fullback on the weekend. They miss Cogger, so it's like you get put in those situations too. You know what I mean?
But when you start getting into that cycle, and I've seen it. Who was it? Kearney or whoever. Guys changing every week, and when you get in that cycle, it's just a bad sign. And I agree. The net gain at the moment is fine. I think we just have to. You need a full. I'm even saying up to round 16 or round 12.
Yeah.
If it's really not hitting by then, let's bomb this up. Let's blow this up. You're out to the wing. But we're not at that point right now, for me personally.
And let's be honest, that side did not lose us the game on the weekend. Like we lost the game.
It's not losing games. It's just not being used. It's not being
Yeah.
used to counter what's happening on the right.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's not being effectively balanced out to create surprise or take away predictability from either side. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, because we probably need. Yeah, and we probably need that right now. Teams know that right side. That they've seen a season of that. Where last year it was maybe catching them by surprise. Now they know it, they can read it well, but still there are moments in that game as well. And I'm sure you boys will agree, as was in the first 6 rounds. Moments where we had completely stretched them and then just didn't seem to, whether it was the final pass, whether it was, Dallin wants to cut back in instead of going out or whatever it might be. There's been so many moments where, we could have scored 3 or 4 more tries and we'd be up by 20 points. I felt that in pretty much all the games. So,
100%.
and it is, the Dragons game was the one game. Before that, I've had the Warriors as the second team in my power rankings because I genuinely thought out of all the teams through 6 rounds, they had been the most consistent. They'd lost 2 games, but they had been the most consistent, and they lost those 2 games quite closely. That sort of has shifted a little bit after that Dragons game, but I just think it's one game. If that's what people are wanting all these changes about, then I think it's just a matter of zooming out a little bit. To your point, maybe it's round 12 when, we've had a real good sample size and hopefully getting guys back as well, might make a difference too. Yeah. So.
No, really good point. I just want to touch on the SJ sort of injury, should we say, and just the general tiredness, that topic. I mean, we are down a bunch of guys. Do you think Webby? I mean, he kind of admitted it, but the pushing guys to the limit a little bit. Did he get it wrong? Maybe not bringing in Zion last week. I mean, we saw him. He's gonna debut this week. My argument was like, if Zion was on the bench and he played 20, 30 minutes and would the result have been the same? I think it would have been. I still think it would have been a loss, but you would have taken 30 or 40 minutes off of Adam or Barnett or whoever, and you would have blooded a young guy. That was my argument for it. But where do you sit on we need to ride the he's got his experienced guys that he's trusting in them, he's pushing them to the brink, or does he need to find a bit more balance in his kind of rotations and interchange?
Well, I think he will. I don't know whether he would freely admit this, but I feel like he would have admitted that he didn't get that one right on the weekend, just because now he's in a position where he's playing Zion, so he can't use the argument that he's not first grade ready because now he's going to go and give him a debut, the very next week. So arguably in now a more important clash. I feel, to your point, would it have changed the result? Probably not, but would have given guys valuable rest. You could have given him some minutes, taken some pressure off that middle, and they would like anyone could see that they were dying for it. Like they were gassed. We were so strong in that first 40 minutes, and then we were just gassed towards the end of that first half and into the second half. So part of me is sort of like, what did you have to lose? I mean, I always trust Webby. I think he's a very smart coach, so he would have had his reasons, I'm sure. But I just think now looking at it, we're gonna debut him this weekend anyway. What harm would have come from using him to give those guys a rest? Because we know that probably Tohu as well isn't going to be an 80-minute player. Maybe even he might be a 60-minute player by sort of round 18 onwards. If you're preserving him for finals. So why not try and use that, like get that rotation going now, or at least play around with it when you can afford to. It'd be interesting to see how that's used this weekend, whether those reduced minutes come this weekend, just was on the bench if he really tries to reduce the minutes big time, get that rotation going, a lot sooner.
Because I found it funny that he said the boys are up for it body language wise, but the data was saying otherwise, and he kind of followed the body language instead of the data that was saying that these guys are gassed a little bit.
It's sort of funny though, because I said to Aish at halftime, like seeing the images on the cameras, and I felt like at halftime body language, I thought we looked gassed. Like all the guys in the sheds had their heads down, hands on, or sort of head in their hands or hands on their legs type thing. And then the Dragons dressing room, they were just like fired up, ready to get back out. And I just said to Aish at halftime, I was like, bro, I think this could get ugly. Like, he was a bit more optimistic, but it's funny that we said that he felt they were up for it. But
you know how they do their passing. There's they pass. They play outside the hotel room at the nearest park, and they do their little pass and knock each other out. He must have looked at that and thought, "Oh no, these guys are up for it."
Yeah, they look happy as bro playing fun and games in the park.
The coffee was kicking in.
Very nice. I think we've covered that really well. And I think, like Webby, he said, you do your review and you move forward. I think that's the best we're going to get. That's the best you're going to get from us guys. But let's move on to Ash. Do you want to do your stats right now?
Yeah, feel free. Yo. All right, sweet. All right, so this week when I did my stats, I wanted to do like our stats comparatively to the Titans. Obviously, a big matchup this weekend, and I started off with an overall stats of it, and then I went through a rolling 3-game average to see form-wise coming into this game and that. But also, I had a little bit of positivity thrown in there too, guys. So we're not like all. Everything's not going completely off the tracks at the moment anyway. So as I said earlier on in the show, last year at round 10, we were sitting 5-5, sitting in 11th, where the Penrith Panthers were sitting 5-4 with 1 bye. So they were around about in the same position as us. So usually big teams and all that, they will, get the whips of cracking mid to late, in the season and stuff. All the big teams that are starting off this season, usually the top of the teams, you see a lot of teams that aren't the best teams possible play their best footy early on, and it usually comes down to they had a great preseason, they want to show their game plan out. When it comes to mid-season and that gets figured out pretty quickly, and then what they have in the back of that. So also currently, is what I touched on a little bit early on, and I think this stat has just changed too with Zion coming in as well. We've actually used the most players in the competition currently right now. So we were at 27 when I first got the stat. This was before team list. It could be 28 now with Zion coming into our actual lineup. So, the next best is the Rabbitohs with 27 as well. And then, off the back of that, I think the Broncos was they've only used 23 players, and they've still had a couple of injuries here and there, but we've been hit really, really hard, especially with the amount of rotations we've had to use this season. So that's definitely a big thing there. Currently sitting 10th right now for tries per game with 3.4. The Panthers currently sitting at 9th with 3.7. The Melbourne Storm, surprisingly, with the attacking season they're slightly having, they're sitting 12th for tries per game, 3.3 per game, which is a really surprising stat. First place is the Dolphins and the Cowboys, and you're starting to see the Cowboys fall off quite significantly lately. So it really shows the stat where we're at the moment comparatively to the competition that we're going to grow. The Titans are sitting 14th right now, but we'll go over to the 3-game average as we're touching on here. Let me quickly get it up. Sorry. So a 3-game average, the Titans, they are 24 points per game currently right now when their actual overall's at 15. So they've just cracked into form trying to get a win this season. But surprisingly, their defense has stayed the exact same to start the season. They're conceding about 30 points a game, and that's exactly on their overall. So they're still trying to figure out their defensive systems under Hasler, and Hasler's been well known to have a very rigid defensive system. So maybe they're taking a lot of time to figure that out. Still taking time to figure it out. Hopefully they haven't figured it out by this Thursday night, but that's a very good stat in our eyes. And they're actually scoring 4.3 tries within that 3-game rolling average. So that's definitely above their 2.8 to start. And the 1.3, this first 3 games of the season, they were averaging 1.3 tries a game, which is definitely not like the Gold Coast Titans, as we know. And last couple of things I kind of do want to touch on as well. Obviously, we're sitting really, really pretty for third in the competition for completion rate with 80%. The Titans are actually 4th right now with completion rate, which is a good little stat for the Titans. But we actually have the first run meters in the competition. We've brought this up a couple of times already. 1,589 per average per game. The Titans are last in the stat overall. And by the looks of it, from where I last checked it, they're actually last in the competition for limiting run meters as well. So we are the best run meter team in the competition. We should be able to get some good field position in this game overall. So a couple of little stats that swing towards our way. And also, if we're going rolling averages, the Titans are starting to get back into form. With us currently, surprisingly, we are actually doing better in our attack than what we have to start the season, but that also counts the Rabbitohs game in our 3-game average. We're scoring 22.6 per game. Our overall average this season is 20.6. If you take the Rabbits game out, though, we're at 18 per average. So we're still sitting consistently around that 18 to 20 mark, which is not too bad. So I thought I'd bring that up with you guys. A couple of other little things I can go on with, but yeah, I think they're the main ones coming into the season. Is the Titans are slowly trying to get desperate, trying to get a win this season, and hopefully we're the team to stop that and bring it on to next week. The Titans, you can get a win next week, just not this week.
Pass the parcel.
Not an Anzac round. Pass the parcel. But they definitely need to fix up their defense and try to start limiting teams in the competition. And actually, I'll throw a quick one for you. I know we're a Warriors channel on that, but who do you think is the best team for limiting run meters in the competition right now? Semi, who do you reckon?
Ooh, Best team limiting run meters.
You could go with the obvious if you really want to, but it's definitely not that.
No, I'm thinking either Brisbane or Roosters.
All right, Levon, I think I told you before, didn't I?
Yeah, I was going to play it off.
Did.
No, I didn't.
Okay. All right. Surprisingly, the Doggies are the best team for limiting run meters currently this season. They're beating out the Panthers that are second best. I think we're sitting around the 5th mark currently right now, so we're not going too bad there. But yeah, I thought that was a very surprising stat. The Doggies obviously turning their season around. I might do a little deep dive on my channel about the Doggies and how they're going at the moment under Serraldo, and maybe they're getting into better form this season with Critter and all that there, and Bronson Sherry. But yeah, really good stats there.
Yeah.
We're the Broncos and the Roosters sitting, just so I know how far off I was.
Ooh, give me a couple of seconds, bro, and I'll get that back.
Yeah, you're right. You do. Yeah,
Bryce here saying, nice stats, Ash Moneyball Thomas.
Get me on, boys. Get me on.
Get on, man. If you want those, yeah. I like it. Love it. Yeah, interesting. I mean, the interesting thing for me is obviously they're probably the lowest in meters. I mean, it does scream that if we have everyone on board, we should be able to get into the grind, and that we like to play that style. We should be able to limit them from their end. But yeah, I think that's really interesting, something to think about. For sure.
Just got it up here. All right, so Doggies are first, Panthers are second currently, and you wanted the Broncos and the Roosters. Mm-hmm. So the Broncos currently are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7th last. So what's that? About mid-pack right now. So they'll concede about 1,400 meters. And the Roosters are around about the same areas. So they're bottom 5 with 1,400 as well. So they definitely leak a little bit of run meters for their middle too.
Very nice. Hey, guys, we got 43 of you on YouTube and a couple more on Twitter. Can we get the likes up to 30? We're on 14 right now. It helps the algorithm and to continue to grow the channel. If you don't mind, if you are there on YouTube, please give us a like. And if you are new, give us a subscribe. And we've got Sammy here. The like should be up to about 100 minimum.
Voice
of
the Wahs.
Voice of the Wahs is here. How dare you not give us a like? No, but
once they saw I was in my attic, they I love those stats, Ash. Man, I'm a big stats guy. Whenever I do my prep and that, I'm deep in the numbers. So I love that sort of stuff. But clearly, my eye test is well off with the Roosters and the Broncos. You must have a really good fantasy team if you're that deep in the.
I try. Actually, I had a better Supercoach team last year than what I have currently this year. But we're slowly building into the season, just like the Warriors, baby. I'm going to come there later, and I'm building my cash as much as I can. But yeah, hopefully it goes well. I think a lot of it does come down to, and Sammy, you might actually agree with this. Me and Levon, we kind of touched on this as well. Is I kind of wish the NRL maybe gave out a lot more of these options, because it is a bit harder to find a lot of these stats out there. And like, it feels in the future, maybe, because I watch a lot of EPL, and I'm sure, you boys may watch the EPL as well, but, they've obviously got the mad deep dives into stats, obviously XG with expected goals, heat maps where teams are, playing a lot of their football and that. I'd love to see that with the NRL, especially with our defensive system currently right now, very similar to the system that the Panthers have been using for so long, is using their defense as an attack. I'd love to see where we actually play most of our footy. Like, where do we limit our teams as much as we can? And comparatively to the rest of the competition, like, those sort of stats would be awesome to see, like, more free-handed at the moment. But yeah, I'd love to see where those.
And this is a real credit to you, Levon, like, why I think your page has done so well is obviously the uniqueness of, when you're breaking down those plays, shows that there's actually a real market for that sort of stuff, right? Like, people actually, don't get me wrong, there's the surface level fan that probably just watches the games and that's all they're engaged with. But there's a lot of people out there who want to learn that sort of stuff, or see that, or better educate themselves. So even if it was, look, I'm going to throw an idea out there. If you guys had some sort of, Sky Sports show where you're breaking down plays and you're, looking at, attacking structures, defensive structures, you're throwing those numbers out there. Yeah. Mate, I think there'd be a massive appetite for that. So I don't know whether it starts as a YouTube thing or you're able to take it high. I think that's an awesome little. I know you're wanting the stats more readily available, but if you could do it yourself,
exactly. Yeah.
I think it's something we want to explore. We want to explore it for sure, and Like we want to get the whole like AFTV where you get the whiteboard out and you move
Yeah,
pieces.
that's the one. Yeah.
I think rugby league has done itself such a big disservice by not presenting it with more analytical eye. I think that the era of 80s and 90s, how it's presented, Blocker Roach style, pretty much.
Yeah.
We're over that, and sports have moved beyond that. And the more
Yeah.
we get the Cooper Cronks or whoever to do more of this, we need it. So, but we as fans are happy to do it. But it's like, yeah, man, we'd love if we could get these stats quicker and faster and with whiteboards.
Yeah, no, I feel and like when I'm putting my prep together, I use about 4 different websites. It's not like you can find it all in one place.
No, it's not.
So yeah, it's sort of just moving around until you find the information that you want.
Just quickly here from Boris, he's saying, Sam, when are you moving to Fox Sport NRL so as Kiwis and Aussie can listen to someone who is entertaining? When's the move, mate?
No, I think I've got to get rid of the Warriors bias before anyone mainstream would pick me up.
Awesome here. Look, let's get into the team list. I'm just going to read it off, and then I'll bring it up when we do combine. But guys, the back obviously Chance is there. The wings, Dylan and Marcelo Montoya. Centers the same people. Roger hasn't moved. Rocco and Roger there. And Tamari and Sean. Look, same pretty much starting forward pack there. Adam, Egan, Barnett, Jackson Ford. Changes Jacob Laban starting on the right edge, and Tohu Harris. And then, yes, my man Dylan Walker is back. Tom Ale, Zion Mayu with the debut, and Paulie Roach as well. Thoughts on that list there, Sammy? How do you think the young ones? There's 2 young ones pretty much. Laban to start, and I suppose Zion with his debut. How do you think they'll go?
Yeah, I think. Look, obviously, annoying to have another one out in Kurt, but outside of that, like it's a as strong a team as we've sort of fielded. I really think Jacob Laban's like a fantastic talent. I know he hasn't got like a whole heap of reps yet, and maybe in situations that haven't been like overly favourable, but. I think he's going to go great guns, especially starting. Like it's a great, I guess, opportunity for him to, stamp his mark at a time when, like Kurt might only be out for a week. So it's just a good opportunity for him to sort of go balls to the wall and, show us what he's got. And then great to have Dills back. Like we just need that energy off the bench. I know we talk about size a lot, like being able to bring on a bigger prop, but also just the energy of, if we had been able to have that against the Dragons after 30 minutes, just for some sort of injection into the middle, I think that would have made a massive difference. So I think he's going to be awesome. And Zion, for, the moments I've watched him in Cup and stuff, he's like the future. These sorts of players that, a lot of people won't know a lot about. I'm sure more the diehards probably are more aware, but these are the guys that will be in these positions in like 3 or 4 years' time. So if you're not believing in them now, then they're the ones you have to trust, because players will move on. Like I've always said this as well, and you see it with Penrith. Warriors fans got to really embrace this period right now where we've got a great team that's playing well, because there'll be a moment in the future, and we saw it with like Adam's sort of the first, not domino, but the first piece to go. But like that'll happen. Players will want to go home or go to another team or find another contract elsewhere. So that's where I'm really excited for the club, and that we've now got these really rock star juniors that we don't need to like go to market as desperately as we have in the past, because, these guys are going to be the ones that fill that. And the goal obviously is in, 5 to 10 years that most of the squad comes from these pathways programs. They're not players that have come in from elsewhere. Not saying I don't want James Fisher-Harris to come back, but so I'm really excited to see Zion once again, like Jacob. Like it's a great chance for him to like show himself in first grade, put himself in the game. It's not, the toughest game in terms of, he's not coming up against a Melbourne or a Penrith, but I think he'll shine. I think Warriors fans will love him too. I think what he'll bring off the bench is going to be awesome. So I'm excited.
Yeah, no, I think so. Any thoughts, Ash, on that, on the squad?
Yeah. Overall, like, I'm really excited to see Jacob Laban in a starting role for this one, and he's definitely going to be up against some top competition. Obviously, Dave Fafita, slowly trying to get back into form, coming off an injury and that. But that's definitely a massive first test for young Laban. I'm really excited to see how he goes against one of the top edge back rollers in the competition overall. And over with Zion, like, watching him through Carp and through, his younger years and all that and all the highlights that you see on YouTube and stuff, it's just like, we're finally going to get to see him against like first grade competition and, obviously it's awesome seeing the tackle breaks and all that in New South Wales Cup and that, but he has the ability to do very similar things in this grade as well. I just want to, see how he goes in this one. He'll probably get 30, I'm guessing, off the bench here, but I'm really excited to see what that 30 has, because he's a very, aggressive, like, running style. Like, I'm so excited to see him off the bench overall.
Paulie Roach, for you guys, is he purely just there as, like kind of how he was used on against the Dragons, like just really covered just purely for Egan? Is that you guys thinking he won't get much game time, you'd imagine?
Well, I know he like someone was talking to me about it actually last week, that he started as a half all through like junior grade. So he is actually like more naturally a half than he is a hooker. But so maybe in that regard, like he can be used.
He's more backline cover. Yep.
Yeah, maybe more as a utility. So to your point, like I don't think he'll get much game time unless it's needed. I guess it's nice to have. But then you got Dilsey as well, who does a lot of that too. Yeah. So yeah, it'd be interesting to see, but I would imagine that he's not going to see a whole lot unless, injuries creep in or someone gets a knock.
I've actually thought when I saw the list today, I was thinking, I think that's the team. I don't think they're going to do any late changes or anything like that. I think Pompey will be 18th man. But yeah, I like the squad especially. I think, what's your guys' expectation on such short turnaround, and obviously SJ not getting reps, and like what can we like, if we're being honest, what can we expect from that left side attack, and like what can we expect? What can they do with that short turnaround? Is my question.
Yeah, man, I think, overall, like the short turnaround definitely is not favourable with us currently at the moment. We've just come off from a tired looking game of the Dragons. Everyone's, pointed that out. We did look tired, because we did. And obviously, we get Dylan Walker back, which is a great injection. He brings energy off the bench. And I think we missed that a little bit last week as well. When you got Tohu just getting through 80 minutes of work, those 80 minutes he moves like a zombie at the end of those 80 minutes, man. Like, he's just held on by a thread, but I love him to death, man. Like, he's awesome there. But Dylan gives him that little, rest in the middle there, and he sparks up the foot speed through the middle and that. So I think that helps a little bit. But if talking about left side attack, I wouldn't say we're going to see anything, drastically a big change. I think the boys will probably stick to a very similar system, what we've been going with for the start of the season. I know people will probably be a little disappointed to hear that, but to be honest, I think from looking at the stats too, I think, the Titans struggle more so on their left side defense as well. So our right side attack does suit a lot more on that, favorable on that side. And obviously Khan Pereira is going to be the man that's probably going to be catching Shawnee's bombs and Rocco and all that down his throat. We know Khan Pereira has a couple of errors in his game, especially, under the high ball when he gets a lot of pressure on him. So I would say we stick to a very similar game plan and hopefully just use our field position as our attack in this game overall. But what's your thoughts overall, Sammy? Short turnaround?
Yeah, just pumped Sean full of drugs. Give him the injections and Tohu, like I always say, that he's more tape than man when he goes out on the field. But yeah, look, the short turnarounds were brutal. Obviously, we had the shorter one as well, going from 90 minutes, 6 days round to the Dragons. So it's like, it's not. I think we get a big one though after this one, don't we? I think
it's a Sunday game. I think it's a Sunday game. Yeah.
So that's much needed. That's well needed. But great. Like, you're spot on though, Ash. I was thinking about just today. Like, I think that kicking game is massive for us. I felt like maybe against the Dragons it wasn't as strong as it has been in the previous weeks, and I don't know, maybe you boys can tell me this, because I've been trying to work it out. Like, I sometimes I don't understand why we put up these like contestable kicks, but we don't contest. I understand the ones that are where we pin them in like maybe 5 meters from their own line. You just want to get them to ground and you play pressure ball from there. But a lot of the times, like, will kick and it'll land 15 meters out. So it's like a very contestable position. And we just sort of, it's like Rocco and that just wait for them to land, or Dallin wait for him to land. I don't know how you guys see that, but sometimes I would just like them to at least throw up a challenge once in a while. Like, it doesn't have to be every kick, but just once in a while, contest it to see if you can make something happen.
Yeah, I think there's such a pattern where they want to play that grinded out style, and they want to. But you're exactly right, because there's sometimes when I've noticed when the Dragons were winning the field position, they'd still do the kick and it'd land on the 20, on their 20. So they were winning that battle, and you're probably asking yourself, why do that when you're just inviting them to start their set on the 20, and they're going to have a really good set coming back the other way. And probably the perfect example was Zach Lomax doing that on Montoya. He's thinking, why can't Barry do a bit of that for us?
Yeah, well,
he's got good leaping. He's got good leaping.
Yeah, exactly. He runs so hard and leaps high. It's like that would put off any defender trying to take a kick. As this guy just steaming in at full pace and jumping. And I know there's those disrupt the rules coming in, which are talk about those all night. But at least, I don't know. At least he can challenge one or two. That's just the way I've been seeing it. So. Yeah,
my overall thought, bro, is like, because I've been thinking about this too, and like obviously there's been a lot of talk around our game plan lately, and obviously a lot of people want to see more variation in that, and I do believe it will come in time. That's why I'm not too worried about it and that. But I believe that like a lot of the time maybe we're just sticking solid to this very similar game plan, and about obviously just kicking into the corners, and even then when we don't contest, is maybe it's more of a setting our defensive shape more so, instead of if we're contesting that kick, ball can bounce multiple different areas. Maybe we look at more of a broken defensive line. Players like Sloaney and that like had moments when Shawnee dropped the ball and all that. Obviously there's no defense behind him and all that in that play, but similar things. Players like that can kill us, especially in broken shape. We saw with Ponga against the Knights games where Chanel had a couple of kicks that just did not go the way we wanted it to go. He had that chip in behind that Ponga just ate up and just took us on with that broken defensive line and broke through. I feel like a lot of that is just Webby just saying, or maybe just the boys and Shawnee just saying, trust the process and just keep our defensive solid, and more of just a simplistic way to look at it. Obviously keeping our team in the corner. We know that there's only one option they're going to come out with on that side. Get our defense set on that side and really rush and put some pressure on that. But yeah, it's to your question with the contesting. It is a little bit of a questionable one as well. Also on top of that, because Rocco's actually got a really good contest game in him as well from what we've seen. Getting up there, he's got a nice bat back. There is there's positives and negatives overall. The only thing I could think of is whether we're worried about broken defensive shape, especially if the bounce of the ball, players that can, play off the cuff. We've been killed by that at times. So whether we're too worried about that, I'm not too sure.
No, that's.
You know what I think it is, though? It's like, I think we're so risk adverse now. I think we were like on the other side of the pendulum as Warriors fans. We were so, because if you saw how they played the end of that game, the try that Dallin scored, it was through the system. It was through the offense.
Exact system.
They're not doing anything like how we used to do, where it was just
throw everything out and just do something.
Find a way to score. But and that way, it can also be a hindrance because, like you're seeing, Sammy, if we're down 16 points, we need to get a catch in the air. We need to contest. And you need to take a risk. I think our system is. I think people were saying predictable. I think it's very risk adverse, and even the adaptability to when we are down 16, we're still doing the same things. I mean, we did it against Manly and we came through. Like that was But to do it twice in the week, sometimes you need a bit of luck. You need to find some plays where you're going to just, I don't know.
Well, it's a couple of like points that you guys have sort of highlighted for me, and I think it's you are spot on, Ash. Like just talking about the game plan being more conservative with that like defensive line, but it's sort of funny. I remember under Stephen Kearney when a lot of people criticised us for playing like trying to play a real Melbourne style, which was just. Getting through our sets, grinding, nothing flashy, trying to grind teams into the ground. And we were looking at it going, but we're not Melbourne. And it didn't feel like it was out there. It's sort of funny how, not saying that this is exactly the Melbourne system, but we have gone back to that sort of conservative way. But yet this time we all rave about it. We all say how great it is. But last year I think we were, last or second last in the comp for offloads. And
Yeah.
I think this year as well, we're sitting very near the bottom as well. And you can see that that's an eye test as well. You don't even need to see the data for that to know that we're just not a team that does that anymore. But it's funny because look at the players we've got, right? Like Eden is an offloader. Roger, would thrive off an offload. Chance through the middle wants an offload. Wade Egan, can snipe around an offload. It's funny that we've got it all there, but it's like we sort of don't want to use it. I would also, one, I guess, criticism that I've had over the last couple of weeks, probably actually into last season as well, is probably our failure to adjust the game plan. So I trust, Webby, like I said earlier, wholeheartedly, because I think he's a fantastic coach, a brilliant mind, and I trust the players that are there as well. But what I sometimes do just question during a game where we're behind or we just seem to be getting dominated strategically is, where's the change up here, or where's our ability to try, to step outside of what, we thought was going to be the way to play and do something that'll get us on the board. That's my one criticism is I think we just sometimes can't adjust effectively enough. And maybe that's why, we sometimes lose, because you could argue that we got out-coached, on Friday. I mean, yes, we got beaten through the middle, soundly, but you could also ask that was a masterclass coaching clinic from Flanagan.
The other
so
one
maybe,
the other one as well is that when we are behind last year, if you think about Sean against the Broncos, we didn't win the game, but Sean pretty much, I noticed he just took over. And it was old Sean, just get it first receiver, run across the defensive line. And he's done it. And he tried to even do it against St. George. And then, when he put the grabber in and then Sloan, it was like football, soccer where the team's low block and they and they just counter. It was like exact same thing. When you got too much ball and you don't know what to do with it. And then that happens. And I think that's a symptom of, you don't have a plan B. And at the moment, your plan B is Sean. But when he gets too much ball, these errors and things start to happen because he's trying to create too much. You don't actually have a fail-safe for other people to create, which is concerning.
It's a wild one because it could go both ways as well. To start the season, we've had a lot of close games that we have come from a behind position as well. Like the Melbourne game, we did not fall into that place of all right, we got to pull something. There was multiple times in that game where I was like, will Shawnee do vintage Shawnee? And instead of a kick put up in the corner, step off his right, break, a couple of tackles here and there. But we stuck to the process and it turned the game completely on our head. We just weren't unable to turn it back. And Xavier Coach just wanted to do us in, obviously, for putting him in a corner all game and just wanted to put one on us at the end. And the same thing with the Manly game too. We went down 16 points to 0, and the boys stuck to that game plan, stuck solid, and we broke through exactly the same way as what we do usually. There's multiple different ways that show it either way. You know what I mean? And it is a good argument because I do understand that it does get frustrating when you see your team just continue to do the same thing again. It feels like you're banging your head against the wall on that. I just feel like, I don't know whether I look at it a little bit differently, but when I see us just continue to pick at a certain spot, I feel like we're just trying to get reads on that spot and see where we can come up with something a little bit later on. A lot of times that, last season we're running that double lead. We're hitting either, Rocco on that, the second lead line. We're hitting maybe short with Curran on that lead line there. But during the game, they'll get stopped about 3 or 4 times. But as soon as Shawnee's got set up that lead, we did it against Jack Whiten earlier on the season with the Rabbitohs. We're setting up Whiten to look outside with Chance sweeping out the back. And then Rocco hit that lead line, bang, hit him on there. So a lot of it, I watch a lot, again, coming back to EPL and that, Manchester City and Pep Guardiola would, no matter what, every player's got a role, every player's got a system. You get out of that system, you get pulled off. Thierry Henry had an amazing story that, for Barcelona, Pep's got a system of positioning and nothing was happening during the game. And he was like, you know what? I'm going to sweep all the way to the other end of the field. I'm going to pick up a ball and work with Messi. And he ended up scoring a goal. Pep pulled him off at halftime and said, you don't do that. You don't do that. And he's like, what do you mean? I just goes back in the game. He goes, no, that's not how we win games. We win by our team. And I think that was one thing where it's sort of doing, Penrith did it really well and it's worked dividends for them. You know what I mean? So that's the counter argument to it as well. Because I understand both sides. I like to look at both sides, but I don't know. I look at it a little bit differently.
No, I love it. And look, most of the time with a majority of my opinions, I just play devil's advocate. I like to throw the conversation out there.
That's good.
Have people discussing. I think it's an awesome point. But it's funny as well. I wanted to also touch on you talking about the broken play stuff because I think that's, the Titans, and certainly those numbers that you were mentioning, like the Titans have always been a team that, well, certainly over the last couple of years, have won games by just outscoring, right? Like they're not known for their defense. They outscore teams. They just haven't had that this year. They've not had the defense like they haven't had the last few years, but they just haven't had the offense, and they've started to pick it up. But you look at most of the last 2 weeks, and it really has come. I mean, look, AJ Brimson, most of it's just him, some freakish play through the middle where he busts 3 or 4 tackles. So that, we've got to be super wary of that, because that is where they're gonna probably exploit is just broken play, an AJ Brimson type player being able to find a gap on a counter or something. So to your point when we were talking about the kicking there, it just made me think of just being wary of the Titans doing that on Thursday.
Yeah, exactly. I think like overall, I'd love to get players' opinion overall. I know like Blake would be awesome, to touch on it, as well as like what do they see during the games? Because as a fan, like I could look at it in multiple different areas and I could be way off the mark as well. And you know what I mean? Like, the footy IQ, because we've never touched that like top level. Like, does Blake sit there and just say, oh, we're going to go back to the well at that point. We're going to go back to the well, keep trusting it. Or does he have the same sort of knowledge of like, no, we need to switch something up because it's not working there? Like, love to talk to like Nathan Cleary, Ivan Cleary, those sort of, but just be like, what do you see? Like, why do you continue to run the same game plan during the game, turn back under, and just continue to trust it when sometimes it doesn't come off your way? You know what I mean? Like, I'd love to see what their mindset is with that.
I'll ask him for you. And,
ask Blakey for me.
Well, I'll get him to dump on next week.
I'd love that.
Just around that, we can continue on if we want to, but to round that idea out, do we think that Webby is like a coach that, like, for example, I've been following Tottenham this year just because of Ange, and don't hold that against me. But he's so committed to his offensive high line, everyone mocks him, that he doesn't change even after a bad result, and they got beat 4-0 by Newcastle the other week, and he's so committed to that. Do we think that Webby's of that kind of ilk, where it's like, trust the system that I've built? We do not veer from it, and we will continue to, as opposed to other coaches where I look at maybe even Flanagan in some ways can make a little tweak here and there. Okay, I can still work it amongst our system, but we're going to try this. A bit more adaptable coach. Do we feel that Webby is more of a system, this is it, and overall it will win, or does he make adjustments, or can he be adaptable moving forward?
Yeah.
Well, yeah. Oh, you go, Ash.
I kind of touched on it a little bit before. I kind of look at it as more of like a Pep Guardiola, and Mikel Arteta sort of system of like their system of possession based. All the stats wise is like that's going to be the game where like Ange is so like I'm berserking and I'm going to continue to berserk, and no matter what I'm going to concede 5, but also I'm going to put 6. Like, he's always been that like a berserker. Everything's going to go all your way. Very similar to the Titans and stuff like that. Is like the old school Titans with Holbrook. Holbrook was very much of like, it's all out attacking footy and we're just going to do that, and that's just going to be able to win. I think it's the flip side, the opposite of like, it's a game plan that will win you games more so in final series and stuff like that. You'll get the odd game during the season where teams will figure you out over time, and maybe the slight variations will come later on, like Pep does and like, Arteta does and all that sort of stuff. But I'd look at it more as like him looking at the stats base of the game and just like the areas that are going to win the game with a team instead of with an individual. And he wants us to stick to that as best as possible. But Sammy, do you have any other thought on that?
Yeah, I just think like as well, and I don't think it's risky, because I think, like, you mentioned there that he's deep in the stats, and we all know that he's a really smart guy. I just think if it works, it is the ultimate confidence builder for like every player in your team, right? Like, if they know that like this is their role and this is the game plan, this is what we're trying to achieve, this is how we do it, we don't stray from the plan, we don't do this, tick this box, and it works. Then the players just have total trust in that. And once you know that, then, it doesn't matter what the game is, the situation, whether it's finals or whatever, you know that, you've got a wholehearted trust in that. Whereas, if your coach was saying like, okay, that's not working, let's try this. Okay, that was working, but this wasn't. Then it's like, by the time it gets to the end of the season, you're like, okay, well, it did work this time, but it didn't work that time. And we tried this here and we tried that there. It's like, I wonder if
That's the thing.
I don't want to use the word risky, but it's like you're playing that game of, look, if it doesn't work, then I look like I'm just, overly stubborn, or I don't want to change anything. I don't want to ruin the idea that I was loyal and all that sort of stuff. But if it works, then it's infinitely better, because, like I said, you get total buy-in from everyone. So, and I mean, proof is in the pudding, right? Like, look, if we had finished 16th last year, we'd probably be having a very different conversation.
100%.
You can't deny the results so far. So yeah.
I think overall too, like if you look at it too, like at another broader scope of like what I'm trying to say here as well is also, if you dumb the game down in, like, not trying to say dumb the game down, but if you give them a specific role, and no matter what, like your role is this and that, when you have injuries in our system, usually those players that pick up that slack know their role as well. So everything is like, that's your role. This is what we're doing. It's like, that's why the Panthers are so good at, when they get the Sean O'Sullivans of the world, that wasn't too crash hot with us. He was very up and down in that. When he was in that Panthers system, he knew his role. He knew what to do. He looked like a world-class halfback. And it's similar to many other players that fill in the systems for the Penrith Panthers, because they know a role. They know what, you got to do. Yeah. It's very similar to like what Bennett does to many teams, in that he's basically simplistic. He makes the game so simple that all he goes is, this is what I want from you tonight, and you do this. And they go out and they perform that. And I feel like that's the reason why we run what we're running now, is a simple game plan that everyone can get the confidence of the back of, because it works more times than not. Sometimes it doesn't. And that's where it gets frustrating, because it looks like we're banging our heads against the wall. But like, these are the sort of things that we just need to grow. And I think the Panthers are such a good, reliable source of beating someone, just saying that we're trusting in our road. No matter what, you could be, changing directions on your road, all that, but we're just focusing on what we're doing, and we're going to impose that on you no matter what, and you can't stop that. And it's such a simple way to look at it, but it's a very effective way to look at it.
I think that grand final was the best result to support what we've just been talking about, and what Webby's trying to instill is like, even 16 points down or whatever, they went deeper into their shape and systems.
Yep.
Well, they had class player like Nathan Cleary to change that, but still they stuck pretty much to what they did.
It's funny too, like all of the players that, particularly last year, obviously when we were sort of trying to learn about Webby and what he brought to the club, and we were all riding high, whenever we had a player on, whether it was the league shows or the commentaries and stuff, we'd always ask them, like, what is it about Webby that makes him so good? And pretty much every single one of them was exactly what you were saying, Ash. Like, he just makes it simple. He just lets me know exactly what I need to do, and just gives me the confidence to do it. And that's, I heard it enough times to basically reinforce that point you were making about just making it such a simple game for any player to walk into whatever role and know exactly what they've got to do.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And that's honestly, I think we're really lucky to have a coach like, I look at the game, and even the game against the Dragons, it's really transparent, like, about what we're trying to do. I don't think, even though we lost, everyone's still trying to do their roles and do it to a really good standard. And it's not going to work some days, but at least as a fan, when you're watching it, you know pretty much what you're going to get each game.
Yeah.
Whereas in the past, when I was the Warriors, sometimes you get amazing attacking 4As, you score 40, and then next week you leak 40, and it just would change so dramatically.
I think the biggest positive to say about that too is, like, over multiple performances, like, how many people actually turned off the Manly game? You know what I mean? Like, all the way to the end. I think the point where I sort of felt like I lost hope in the Manly game was legit 2 minutes ago, where Shawnee put the 7-tackle set in. Yeah. But how many other Warriors teams did you go back and be like, we're going to still in the game, 16-0 down. Yeah, we're still in the game. We're in this, the same thing with the Dragons game. That's probably why Blake, going at half time, he's like, nah, the boys are still in this. They're still in this.
Yeah.
There's not a lot of Warriors teams, no matter consistently, we always believe that our team is still in the game. And that's what makes it, for me, such a more of a enjoyable watch, in comparatively to a team that out of nowhere, it's just a blockbuster performance, and out of nowhere leak 50 the next week or 70 against the Melbourne Storm. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. And
those are exciting. Those are exciting times, though. You never know what you.
It's not, bro. The roller coaster is real.
They were, bigger highs and lower lows. But it's funny when you look at teams like you look across the pond at teams like the Cowboys. These teams that are going through a similar thing where they can win, they can put 40 points on, then lose by 40 points, and it's like, I'm just not envious of those days at all.
No way. No way. And the Titans are like, the premier team for that currently at the moment, unfortunately. And
Yeah.
They're desperate and they got attacking ability and all that. But if they can't get the simple things right in their game, this is what happens. They're just up and down, no matter what.
Yeah.
No, very nice. Hey, guys, we'll move on to the combined 17. Look, I think I'll be the adjudicator to this week. But we'll get Ash and Sammy to pick their picks. So Sam, pretty much what we do is we base it on position. So we choose the best left winger, best right winger. So it's not necessarily matchups who's versing each other. It's actually just who's the best in that position. So I'll get you to select. Yeah.
Try to create the best team possible, my bro. Let's
create
the best team possible.
Yeah. So I'll get you guys to battle it out, and if there's a agreement, I'll try my best to choose one side or the other. So let's start off with the fullback here, Chance Nickel Clockstead versus AJ Brimson. We'll start with you, Ash. Where are you going, man?
Yeah, I feel like, this one's a tough one for me, and I'm going to bring out my old reliable. Like, I love Chancey to death. I love AJ so much as well. And, being a Queenslander, I've always seen the shine of AJ. I've always said he's like the Queensland's Wish Tedesco. Like, he's very similar to a Teddy. And like, injuries and all that. I love him to death, honestly, guys. But out of these two, it's so tough. I'm going to sway the way of Brimo. I'll be that guy. I'll sway the way of Brimo only because I feel like Brimo probably has a little bit more speed. If we're going skill set wise, he definitely can sum up, do very similar things as Chancey, but in a bit more of an exciting way as well. But Sammy, where you at? Where's your head at there?
Oh, I probably was going to lean Brimson as well. I almost want to go Chance now just to get
go Devils out of it, bro.
Yeah. But AJ's like, because I actually think he's he's a gun, and I think he's suffered from obviously a team that doesn't do very well, but also being shifted around so many different positions. Like, I know he played in the centres, right? He's played in the halves, and now he's at fullback. It's like, if the dude was just the number one fullback for the last 5 years, he probably would be a regular Origin player and be on everyone's lips. So I sort of want to lean Brimson, but I do not want to face the wrath of the comment section. No.
That's why I took the heat, my brother.
Yeah, you took it first. Well, for some reason, my comment stopped loading about 10 minutes ago, so maybe
okay.
I'll go. Yeah, I think I'm going to go Brimson as well.
Yo.
Okay, yeah. Well, that solves that. Didn't put me in a tough spot. But happy to accept that. And what is it? I suppose, Ash. I mean, we did get that feedback last week. What does AJ bring? What's so different about his game to maybe Chance's game?
I think they're very similar. I think it's more the fact of like Brimo's just got that more of explosive speed. Like Chance is a workhorse. He gets through a ton of work. Like if you go on workhorse wise, like AJ can get to that 200 meter mark and all that, but those 200 meters is explosive. He's bouncing off tackles left, right, and center. Where Chancey's like, through the middle. He's like, as he said, like recently too, like he's 100 kgs now, which is mental. Like I heard that the other day. I was like, bro, he's put on the pounds and he's looking at too, like he's strong upper body in that. I just think Brimo, just on an edge, he kind of cuts people up a little bit better because he gets on the outside a lot better. I think that's the biggest difference between the two.
Very cool. Very good. Okay, so we'll go left wing. So Marcelo versus who's their left winger?
The left winger would be Khan Pereira.
Okay. I'll go back to you, Ash, on this one.
I would, because both these guys, been known to have an error in them and all that, but just the game breaking ability of Khan Pereira is so hard to really, go without. So I'm going to sway the way of Khan Pereira here. Just more of the ability of like turning like a slight opportunity into points is so vital in competition right now. And the speed on the edge, bro, like he's on a different level there. So Sammy, what do you reckon?
Yeah. That was probably going to be my point, was just the ability to convert points. He probably is as frustrating sometimes to Titans fans as Marcelo is to Warriors fans. But I have to agree with Ash. I just think the ability to create something, not out of nothing, but just to create more points, more try scoring opportunities. I think I'd probably give him the edge over Mars.
Yeah, cool. Funny, man. 2-0 to the Titans. This is the first time in
I was going to say,
in all
you
Cadet
coming
history.
Ash going first. I'm just going to agree with everything he says.
No. I mean, yeah, it's really cool actually. Okay, left. Yeah, we'll stay on the left side. Left center, Roger Tuivasa-Sheck versus who would be their left center?
Brian Kelly.
Oh, okay.
This
Yep.
is
I'll check
tough.
that to you, Ash.
I'll play. I'm swaying away with Roger. Like, I think Brian Kelly is incredible too. And if you actually watch a lot of his defensive movements and all that, I think Brian Kelly is very underrated in defense these days. Especially if you watch that Manly game, the last game, he was putting on some amazing shots. He keeps, he's really good at giving Cam Pereira a lot of space. But if I'm going like an overall workhorse and at that center, I'm going Roger. Like, I think Roger gets through a ton more work. I still believe Roger is a great defender in that center position as well. I think it's just, a lot of it just comes down to the combination between Monty and the call out reads and stuff early on. So I'm swaying the way of Roger just because Roger will get you 170 meters through that center position while also doing very similar things to what Brian Kelly can do. I think the only thing Brian Kelly does better is more so setting up that outside man just a tiny bit better.
Sammy?
Can't disagree. Because I think, of the last 2 Titans games that I've watched, like Brian Kelly's been a real, like particularly defensively when they've been leaking a lot of points, though he still comes up with like big plays. I actually wonder if teams would score a lot more points if it wasn't sometimes for what he does defensively. But yeah, I just don't think with it's probably more the work rate of Rog and that I guess the ability to break it open if he gets a little bit of open space. And I just I would just rather Roger because every time he gets the ball, everyone gets out of their seat. Right?
Exactly.
It's more exciting to me. Like even if he's going to make mistakes, I'd rather see that.
100%.
Would we see a bit more of that passing if, say, a Cam Pereira was on the outside of Roger? Do you think he'd be more inclined to, or he'd get more of that passing, try assist with someone a bit more of speed and finishing like a Cam Pereira on his outside?
It's possible, bro. I think a lot of it does come down to that inside man, that inside half, and like when they're going to give Rog the ball and that. Like when Metcalf was there, I was thinking we were playing a lot more direct with Mets. I think the speeds of Mets to get on the outside and really set up Rog like well on that outside is, we're kind of missing it a little bit. But I think it all comes down to that inside man, and like it doesn't really matter who is on that outside. If that center's just going to move on you and get in front of you, you can't get the outside or inside. Roger's going to step back on the inside more times than not. I don't think it really changes too much, but I think you're probably a little chip in behind with Cam Pereira overall or something like that. But yeah.
Okay, very nice. Let's move on to the right center, Rocco Berry versus Harley Smith Shields. Sammy, who you got in that one?
Well, yeah, I really like Harley. Like he's obviously fresh, young, and like hard to sort of be coming into NRL when you're like with a team that's in dead last without a win. But man, I think Rocco's like a superstar.
Yeah,
I just think that I could sit here for an hour telling you and debating with anyone who disagrees as to why I think this guy is just one of the classiest centers and will be one of the best centers in the coming years. Like it's remarkable to think that I'm not sure if it's quite crossed over yet, but I'm pretty sure we're still at the point where he's played more rugby union games than he's played rugby league games. There's going to be a point, I think, where that crosses over, but I think Webby was talking about that where he said, like, he's only played 25 rugby league games or something, and he played, like, 30 games of rugby union or something when he was doing that. So, like, the idea that this guy's still, basically learning the game when he's in the NRL is just phenomenal. Just defensively, so solid.
Yeah.
And, those kick chases. And I still maintain, Roger said in an interview that he watched a game and saw the kick chase, and that's what inspired him to come back. And I reckon he was looking at Rocco Berry. So,
wow,
it's Rocco for me.
Nice.
Yeah, I got to agree, bro. I got to agree. There's not really much more I could say on that. Like, I think Rocco definitely has, as you said, that superstar ability. And like, if you watch a couple of these highlights in like junior grades as well, and like you watch the Kiwi A's, he showed off a lot of that attacking ability as well. I think with a very systematic team is what we got. Maybe you don't see that as much as what we usually do, but all the 1%ers is where Rocco lives in and he thrives in. And that's what makes him such a good center. So I think he's, leagues ahead of Harley at the moment currently.
Oh, cool. Very nice. Dylan Watin is Zelezniak versus Jojo Fafita. Ash, what have you got on that one?
Yeah, I think Jojo's got a lot of potential. Like, he's a bigger body, moves well, got tackle breakability and all that. But I got to swear to Dal. Like, Dal's ability to finish in the corner is one of the best in the competition currently right now. And for Dal last year to do what he did in like 20 games to get like 26 tries, 24 tries, whatever he did within 20 games, like just a mental stat there. A lot of guys can't get 24 in 27 games, you know what I mean? So I think the finishing ability and all that is where I'm going to sway to Dal in this matchup here. What are you thinking, Sammy?
Yeah, couldn't disagree. Like, I think Dallin, just as a finisher, would be, a starting winger in most NRL sides. But I just also love that, when he brings those carries out of yardage, where like sometimes he's running at full pace and he hits the line and he goes nowhere, right? Like he stops dead in his tracks. But it's the energy, and like I genuinely think that gets it gets the crowd pumped up, but I think it gets a side pumped up as well. Like just seeing someone just absolutely put everything into like a carry like that, where they're just not really going to go anywhere anyway. So along with the finishing, I think that's a massive plus to have. So yeah, I've got Dal for sure.
No, very nice. I think so. Out of the back five, I think it ended up being 3-2, which is an exciting matchup. I mean, it's going to be pretty crazy, I think, in terms of energy and running and like line break ability, especially with how they play. It'll be interesting to see, but great matchups. So Sammy, we do the best halves. So it could be 5'8" or halfback out of the four. So who's your best halves out of the four there to make up your halves pairing? Actually, I'll chuck that to Ash. I'll chuck that to Ash first. Yeah. Right, so
So overall, like out of all these guys here, Shawnee is definitely for me my first pick. Out of a lot, I think Shawnee's form currently right now kind of just wins the argument overall comparatively to the other three that we have here. I think Tanner is still struggling, trying to find his feet in NRL currently right now, and I feel sorry for him because he started off at that hooker position, was a utility off the bench, and then finally he's the 7 that's going to take him to a new era. It was very similar to for Ash Taylor and players of the past. So out of everyone there, Tamaite. I love what Tamaite brings to us, where it's a bit more of the passing threat, I guess. So like, when I'm thinking of like more Metcalf and Tamaite, I think Metz is a lot more direct. Like he uses his running game to really put off teams and that, where Tamaite uses his like more skill set of the pass. Like with Rog at the moment, he tries to give him as early pill as possible. Sometimes that may not work for Rog as much as he can. Like, with Metcalf, he got him on the outside man a lot better. But Tamaite, like, he can bounce back in, put a pass back inside and that. Kieran Foran is probably going to be my 6 though. If I'm going to go, I will go Sean Johnson and Kieran Foran. The only thing is I hope no injuries get brought into this game here, because Kieran will probably be out for, 10 weeks, 11 weeks of the season if we're building an actual team right now. But if on their best day, I think Sean Johnson and Kieran Foran just experience through that halves. I think that would be incredible.
Yeah. That's hard to disagree with. Although, think Shawnee's in the same plane though. If he gets injured, it could be both of those guys are like walking on glass. But I really like Tamaite, what he's I guess evolved on from last year as well. You mentioned obviously like Luke brings more of the running game, but I've been really impressed with Tamaite's like running this year, just like a little bit harder and a little bit more direct. Than maybe it was last year, but I do agree that the passing is definitely more of his skill set. Johnson, Kieran Foran, Those guys, have they ever played in the Kiwis together at the same time?
Yeah,
Yeah.
2014 was the big year. They
go.
really.
We tried that with the
Bad.
Warriors too, which is an unfortunate one to bring
Yeah,
up because that did not
that's
work. But
Different era.
Yeah.
It's a different era.
Kieran was
I'll
going
go
through a
Shawnee.
different thing at that time. Yeah,
I'll go Shawnee and Foz.
yeah. Shawnee and Foz, an old version of that would have been nice. But hey, yeah, no, it'd be a great matchup. Foz still chugging along. I even can't believe what he did in the Kiwis last year. That was
bro.
just
Yeah.
nuts. He's in that same vein.
100%.
Cool. Okay, we'll go into the forwards now. This more traditional Fanua Blake versus Fotuaika. Who have you guys got there? Ash, we'll start with you.
Yeah, this is actually a decent matchup overall. Like, I'm still obviously swaying the way of Fanua Blake because I think Fanua Blake is definitely a level above. But I love what Fotuaika brings to the Titans in that. Like, when he's in consistent form, he's definitely a look into that origin sort of arena, big body tackle breaker and all that. But what Ads brings to us and he'll probably bring to the Sharkies wherever he goes to is, bro, he's got the attacking ability. He's got that alpha male sort of look to him too. Like, you imagine being a front rower or even just a footy player and looking at across the field, you see Mitch Barnett and Adam Fanua Blake. Like, I'm just walking straight off the field. Like, coach subbed me off. I'm out of here. So I'm going Adam Fanua Blake, my man. Adam Fanua Blake.
Yep. Same for you, Simi?
Yeah. Well, yeah. 100%. I like Mo's sort of started. Obviously, didn't start. Was sort of back into last year and started this year. Dipped a little bit, but I actually think that to Ash's point, like he has the potential to like put himself in for Origin if he can sort of carry the Titans through this next period without Tino.
Yeah.
And with them sort of really being up against the wall, like got a real he's a real he's sort of a good work meter eater through the middle. I think he'll obviously have a very tough time doing it on Thursday.
Yeah.
But I actually really love him as a player. I just think Adam, number one prop in the game, arguably.
Yeah, exactly.
It's hard not to pick him. So.
Yeah. No, awesome. Wade Egan versus Chris Randall. Ash, what have you got there?
Yeah, Chris Randall is a workhorse and like he's definitely evolved his game a lot more from when I first saw the Knights and that, like, more so defensive minded back in those days and that, but I've actually seen a lot more of his like getting out of ruck and working against markers and stuff like that. And I've been impressed, but can't go past Wade Egan. Like, when Wade Egan, like, he's in form currently, I know the last 2 games he hasn't showed off his full ability like he did with the Rabbitohs game where everyone was like, Origin. But Wado's definitely got that potential. It's just more so about him staying on the paddock. So go on Wado, 100%.
Cool. Yeah, Sammy?
Yep. Wado. I could talk to you about him for an hour, but I won't. Just the deception around the ruck. Like, it doesn't even need to be. There was one play against the Dragons where it's just like he picks it up going left, doesn't even look right, and then just puts it straight into the breadbasket. It might have been Mitch Barnett or someone. It's just those little things that he does better than anyone else. That I guess like you might sort of see it in the moment, but it's when you zoom out and go, man, this guy's skill set is just incredible. So. Just a couple of 40-20s and I'll be a happy man.
That's me done.
Nice. Yeah, that would be nice. Yes, let's go to Barnett versus Jermaine Jolliffe. Sorry.
Yep. I got to go Mitch Barnett, bro. Like, Mitch Barnett, Origin, like, hopefully he's around about that Origin squad. Actually, judging on our injury crisis kind of at the moment and all that, if our injury boys aren't back by then, don't take Mitch off us, please.
Yeah.
Like, please don't. But I reckon he would do wonders in that arena. And as a Queenslander, like, I would hate if they pick someone like a Mitch Barnett and that gives off, like, what we do in Origin. Sorry to New South Wales fans in the chat, but I'm going Mitch Barnett. But shout out to Jermaine Jolliffe. Like, I feel like he's been in a little bit of form lately in that. Like, he's a workhorse, gets through a ton of work, but I think Mitch is just that little bit up echelon of front rower.
No, very nice.
Yep.
Same with you, Sammy.
Scores a few tries as well, Jolliffe. Like, I probably would if Mitch wasn't having the year that having the start to 2024 that he has. Like, in another year, I might pick Jermaine, but yeah, I'm sort of in Ash's camp. I mentioned this a couple of weeks ago. I said everyone that's raving about Wade Egan and Mitch Barnett playing Origin, let's just pump the brakes here because that means we're losing those guys for Origin. So from a selfish Warriors perspective, no Mitch, just tone it down a bit. But yeah, no, I'd take Mitch in that prop battle for sure.
Yo.
No, absolutely. Great stuff. Look, Jackson Ford, and who's there left since? Is it Fafita? Is it?
Yeah, Dave Fafita, yeah. Tough for old Jacko here. Tough for old Jacko. I would have to go Dave Fafita. Just getting back off injury and that, and slowly getting back into what he usually does best. His work rate was always there, even coming back off injury. It was just more the little things in his game that he's getting back. Obviously, the tackle break ability and that, but just we saw it on the weekend, like in a second row, just to go, push everyone out of the ruck and be like, everyone knows exactly what he's going to do, but he's just like, yeah, you just won't stop me. Like, and he chooses that. Like, he's unreal. But shout out to Jacko. Like, Jacko is a workhorse in that. Obviously, didn't get a lot of meters in that last game and that. Didn't get a lot of time. I think, hopefully he's doing well with that shoulder he was kind of carrying for a little bit of that game and that. But out of this too, Dave Fafita.
Nice. Yep. Same for you, Sammy.
Same for me. It's Fafita and like it's almost like Payne Haas for me. Just these absolute monster frames that are just so agile. It's like I don't know how anyone matches up against these guys. It's crazy. The only thing that can stop them is injury. So I think Fafita's starting to, as actually come into that real form this year after dealing with that injury first couple rounds, and poor old Jacko is going to get peppered, I think. So hoping that he just has like the defensive game of his life. But otherwise, that's going to be a real target for them. Yeah.
Oh, that would be Laban, wouldn't it? He'd be getting.
Yeah, Laban will be defending as Fafita in this game.
Laban's going to be in for a game. He's in for a big night. He's in for a big night.
We'll move on to Laban actually. Versus Bo Firma. Ash. I don't know Firma, but sounds like he's probably played a few more games than Laban. Was that the argument you'd have in favor of a Firma in that situation?
Yeah, if you haven't watched a lot of Fermor, bro, I actually recommend go watch Fermor. He's actually a really, really solid first grader, and that there was only a couple of years back that he was actually being more of the dominant edge comparatively to Dave Fafita, and a lot of Titans fans were really preferring him over Dave Fafita, which is actually mental to think about. But he was in touch for Origin. His work rate's incredible, but he's only just come back off injury with I think he had an ACL injury last year, or whatever, had him out for a whole season. So out of these two, I think Laban's potential, it may be higher than Fermor, but I think Fermor currently is just a step above obviously Laban. A good workhorse to have on the edge. What's your thoughts, Sammy?
Yeah, no, couldn't agree more. Probably just experience really. Like Jacob, different conversation in a year's time if he played every game between now and then. But I guess based off what we've seen, I think Bo's probably the obvious option.
Yo.
Okay, cool. Tohu Harris versus Cleese Haas. Who you got this, Ash?
I got to go the man Tohu and all that. And, it's not just because he's our fierce leader. He's not just because the minutes he plays and just the work rate and the passing game and all that. I also think that we only have room for one amazing mullet in this side. And that's Dallin Watene-Zelezniak. So, we're going Tohu Harris here.
Maybe if Cleese just did a little man bun on top, we'd have a.
What is up with his profile pic? He looks like he's a skinny 16-year-old. His brother looks like this massive man. Is he that small, or is he a bit bigger?
He actually does look. His face he's got like a baby face when you see him on the field. He's a big boy, but he's just got that face to him. I think that's an easy one. Toya for sure.
Easy. Okay, now for the bench, guys, we're going to make it up of the best 4 players. So out of those 8, pick the best 4. So you got Dylan Walker, Tom Ale, Zion Mayu, and Paulie Roach. And on the other side, you got Sam Verrills, Aaron Clark, Isaac Liu, and Josiah Pahulu. So I'll pass that one to you, Ash. Who's your best 4?
This one's tough. All right, I'm going to have a little bit of, because I have a love for someone that's on the Titans side here that I want to try and shoe in, but it's really tough with the makeup I'm probably going to go with here. But I'm going to go Dylan Walker at the 14. I'm probably going to go Tom Ale I want the flavor of Zion at the moment, just because I just wanted that exciting of just like seeing what he's got in NRL, and I'm hoping he takes by storm in that. And the last one, Aaron Clark. Like, Aaron, if you want to come back to the Warriors, man, I'm sure we'll create you back into like, he's an incredible, like, honestly, bro, his work rate for the middle is so similar to like what Dylan Walker does. And very similar to a Jazzy and stuff like that. He's just got energy. He's got mongrel. I love Aaron Clark, and it sucks that we let him go. But obviously, if he wants to come back, like, feel free, come back. Where you at, Sammy? Where you at? What do you reckon, Sammy? Who's your best?
I probably would go Dylan, Tom, Aaron, and maybe Isaac over Zion, just once again based off minutes and that. But yeah, if we're going flavor of the day, I'd take Zion. But I agree that I think Aaron off the benches, and also too, like, maybe this is just because of how strong the Warriors are, but like, he just would be a perfect interchange player. Like, not I would never. Well, not never, but I don't see him as a starter. I just see him as someone who would come off the bench with, just like you said, that mungle, that grit, that energy to sort of rival like what Jazz and Dills bring when they come on. So, yeah, I think if I was making it up of those guys, and like you, that's probably not the ideal makeup if you're putting 4 players together, but just based off the best 4 of those 8, I'd go Dills, Tom, Aaron, and Isaac.
Yeah.
No, very nice. Thank you, boys, for that. I think the majority is still in the favor of the Warriors.
Wise up, baby.
That's not a good sign, because every time we've done that, we've hasn't been a good result, especially last week. I think it was way too. But either way,
best team in the comp.
We're the best team in the comp, and yeah, we should be top right now. But no, thank you for that exercise, and guys, I hope it's helped everyone in the chat. That's helped to kind of give a good look at where the Titans are. Now, let's get into just pretty much score prediction, how you guys think the game will go. I'll start with you, Sammy. How do you think short turnaround? I think for both teams. I mean, obviously Titans are traveling as well, but at home still massive occasion. How does that turn up on your score prediction, and what is your score prediction for the game?
Okay, I'm so full disclosure that I always get this so wrong.
I do too.
So,
I do too.
Yeah,
bro.
so it's like roulette, right? But here's how I think. This is in my head, my imagination. So, emotional day. Obviously Anzac Day back home. I think I read somewhere on the NRL website it's like going to be the biggest Anzac Day celebration in the Southern Hemisphere or something, obviously, because there's going to be 20,000 people there.
Wow.
So, theoretically the biggest like Anzac Day event. So I think, that happens, and I think like we come out early, like Dallin scores in the first 5 to 10 minutes in the corner where, we're away laughing. But then I think the Titans scare us a little bit. Maybe they get like another quick one back, or maybe 1 or 2. And then, so we're sort of like, suddenly we're like, oh no, is this going to happen again? But then I think the class comes out, and then I think we can probably put 30 plus on them. And I'm hoping that we restrict them to just whatever happens in that first like 20 minutes. So if they get 1 or 2 in that first 20, that's all we let in. And we're looking at like let's say 36-10.
Nice.
I like that.
Ash, yourself?
Yeah, man, I'm sort of similar in a way. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if the Titans came out and tried to start strong, but I think a lot of emotion on the Warriors side hopefully should drown that out. The boys should get really good field position as much as they can in this game, comparatively from what the stats say and that. But also, I'll sway the way also to the Titans of, like, I think they're going to find points in this game as well. I'll probably give them like up to around the 12 to 16 mark, mainly because they're so desperate for a win currently right now. But I think the boys should be able to get a little bit of a roll on early on. Then maybe that middle part of the period, we kind of lose it a little bit, and then we just come home strong, especially with all the work rate that we did early on in this game. Players like Pereira and all that, they'll probably fall off later on in the game. Couple of errors come into the game, and the boys blow it out a little bit late. So I'm thinking about that 28 to 16, something around that. I'm hoping it's around that. So, hopefully it goes that way. I know we're a little bit tired, but I think Dylan Walker and that little energy, he could actually maybe change what we're kind of thinking about this game as well. Like, especially if we rotate him on at the perfect time, he could hopefully continue the momentum all the way through up till half time and see where it goes on from there. So yeah, 28 to 16, something like that.
Yeah, very nice. I think like a good example has been the last 2 weeks when we've done the bench and the combined 17, we've almost lost both benches. And I feel a little bit in that bench there that we're a little bit stronger based on what you guys chose. And I think that's going to add value definitely in the middle of the game. I just believe in Dylan Walker. Like, I know it's quite upsetting we haven't seen him for a couple, 6 or 7 weeks. And he's almost been forgotten because we've been so focused on, it was Bunty and Jazz for a period, and then they dropped off, and now we're focusing on. We've just forgotten how important Dylan is, and I just hope that he brings that energy around the ruck. I feel it even helping out Tohu. I'd love to see Tohu just go off for one game. If you could just have a breather for 10 minutes, just get him off the field somehow, would you please? Just find a way to get this guy off, and just let Dylan work that middle a bit more. And I think we should find some good points off of that, because that's been a big talking point. Is we're still having that drop off period. The 20 minutes in is still the periods of the game when we're falling apart. So hopefully he comes in and he can kind of stem that a little bit. But I agree, a massive occasion. I'm probably sitting on I always think the magic number is 24 for us. I think if we stick at 18 is always a tough one. It can be a tight game or can win by 8. But if you can get to 24 points, I feel confident that it can be. So I'm feeling like a 24 to 12 or something like that. Personally, I think that'd probably be a good scoreline. But if it blows out 36-6, whatever, I'd love that as well. So we'd be happy. But yeah, guys, that wraps up everything. Sammy, thank you very much. I just want to quickly ask, man. How's it been going working with Jello and Blake? How are you enjoying them as your co-hosts?
Yeah, they're great, man. Aish is like, I just am just so impressed with this guy. Like from week to week, how much he's growing, like in our commentaries, and how willing he is to learn. And he's constantly asking me for like feedback and wanting to know more and get better. So like that's just. You can't ask for a better co-commentator than someone like that. And I just think, he is audibly getting better every week. And then Jello's just like awesome to have on a Wednesday. Obviously, he's a real character. He's a great storyteller. He's close with a lot of the guys, so it's real easy getting people on. But also Jello's like it's funny because even though he's a bit of a jokester, like he's a real studier of the game. He always comes in with a whole bunch of notes and like sort of pictures and things that he's been thinking about while watching games. And often he'll say to me like, hey, I really want to talk about this, which is great. Like it means that I can steer the conversation to what his sort of strengths in that are. So it's been really fun, man. It's, I guess diversifying us a little bit as well, like having two different, voices and helping us sort of, cover off more with different people. And we're, heading off to Magic Round as well, which is really cool.
Nice, awesome.
So we're doing a big trip over there. We're going to be calling the Seagulls. I think the Seagulls Roosters. I think it is on the Friday night. I think I'm right in saying that's the matchup on the Friday night. We're doing the Sharks on the Saturday night. Don't know who the Sharks. Someone on the Saturday, and then the Warriors on the Sunday. Plus doing shows and stuff. We're doing a show at the Lord Alfred on the Friday.
Get up there, Ash, man.
Hey, I'm getting down there, my bro. I'm in Brizzy.
Are you coming down?
Yeah, I live in Brizzy, bro. So I'm coming down this Saturday because unfortunately all my boys are their teams are playing Saturday. And I couldn't just be like, bro, come Sunday as well. They're like, no, we don't have the money for it. So, bro, I'll come meet you. I reckon it'll be amazing.
Yeah, 100%. No, come meet us at the Lord Alfred. We'll definitely get you on because we're hoping to get a couple of sort of legends as well. Like we'll see who's sort of around the area at the time to get them to come in and sit down and have a yarn, and hopefully people will come to the pub and have some beers, and that'd be fun. And then we're hoping to do a couple of sit down interviews as well with some big names. TBC if Blake can pull in any favors.
Hey, bro, I'll be keen to go see the boys.
I'm just waiting for my itinerary. I think you're talking about me, aren't you?
Sorry.
Follow them over.
We've got your breakfast sort of just to pay for the flights at the hotel.
That's awesome, man. No, we love you. We love your work, Sammy. And I find myself, I've been watching games, and then I have to jump on baby duties, and I'm lying in bed with my daughter trying to put her to sleep, and I got my one ear, and I got SCNZ, and I got Sammy with the call, and I'm just picturing where guys are, okay, yeah, and Sammy's just.
I was going to say your baby's not getting to sleep with me yelling down your ears, but. And I appreciate you guys as well. I love what you guys do. I love, you've grown like exponentially, which is a testament to how hard you guys work. So good stuff, man. Keep it up.
Thank you, Sammy.
Yeah, always a privilege to jump on with you guys and be put in my place.
No way, man. Well, we appreciate you. And guys, you know where to find Sam on SCNZ, Run It Straight show. And you're calling the game, obviously, on Thursday, no doubt. It's going to be, so yeah. If I'm on baby duties, that's probably around the time my daughter goes down. So I might be listening in if I have to.
And if people were watching, listening, are at Mount Smart on Thursday, we'll be like in a little tent from 3 to 4. We generally pitch it up next to the donuts at the front of the
East
West West Stand.
Oh, West Stand. Okay, yeah.
The West Stand. So if you see us there, come and say hi to me and Blake. Even if we've got our headphones on, just come up and say hi. We love sort of meeting people and
awesome.
Catching up. So don't be scared.
Don't be scared, people. Yep. No, awesome. Thank you again, everyone. That was All You Can Eat Warriors. Thank you, Ash. Ash, guys, will be running the full credit to the boys on Thursday.
Yep, my man.
Probably 6:15, I'd say, or something around that time.
Yeah.
New Zealand time, so 4 something for you. Yeah. We'll get the details up for that. And so you guys can jump in for your post-match corridor and analysis as well. So, appreciate everyone. We'll wrap it up there. And up the wahs.
Up the wahs, baby.
Peace.